All right, everyone, if you're not following us, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, give us a big thumbs up. We are going live. Told you we're going live. All right, for Men and Nerds here with our beer in review or year in review. I don't know.
Depending on what the autocorrect gives you.
Year beer in review depends on autocorrect.
Yeah.
Wallie here. You see Kyle. You see Dave. Bunch of the OGs on right now. I have my Untapped year in review ready to go here. So.
Me too. And
Dave went overboard, like really overboard, because normally it's like, we're going to drink this beer today. So we have a Banded Peak Mount Crushmore, but then also Innocent Gun, and also some Village, and also some Troubadour. So we'll see how this goes. I had some interesting comments on social media, like, that is quite the lineup. And I'm like, yep, yes it is. We'll see how much we get through. All right, boys, how's it going? Dave repping Team Canada. They won 3-0 today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so this is gonna be our year in review. We're gonna talk about beers from this year, and we'll just see where that goes. I took a few notes from my Untapped. It wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be. I thought I actually drank a lot more beer than I did. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about our favorite beers. We'll just see where conversation takes us.
I was going to say, drinking less than you thought you did is probably better than the other way around, where you drank more than you're like, oh, did I really drink this much beer this year? It's probably better than the way that.
How did that work?
I drank 300 beers. Ooh, 600? That doesn't seem right. Yeah.
There's a few days on tap where I'm like, I better Google to see what day this was. So one was the food and beverage expo. So I'm like, why do I have like 8 check-ins?
Yeah. You hit some of those and they spike it.
February, what was it? February 8th? Was that when we were in Calgary? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like quite a few that day too. Because it's like weird ones and like a random like raspberry or something. It was really weird. Okay, anyways, let's pour beer. We'll chat. Did you guys look at your year in review?
Which one are you doing right now?
Cool. I had.
Oh, he's pouring the Mount Crushmore.
Oh, okay.
Crisp and clear. This one's like.
So Dave supplied us with these.
Yes.
And he went through our Untapped and found some stuff that we didn't have. Is that correct, Dave? Is that?
Yeah. So 3 of the 4, none of us have had. I missed you, Kyle. Sorry.
Which
one's the chai porter you've had, but I missed that. But
I don't remember it, so I'll have to go back and. So what I'll do is when I taste it, I will taste it, talk about it, then go back and see what I rated it when I had it the first time.
So our first one is Mount Crushmore by Banded Peak. We're allowed to talk about Banded Peak, right?
Well, as long as you don't say barley belt, every time you do, you have a Molson.
So this comes in at 4.4%, and it actually even says our IBU, 26 IBU. It is a Pilsner. The beer version of spring skiing, it says. Audacious like wearing a vintage one-piece snowsuit with fluorescent racing stripes. All right. Now, I've been like, this year, maybe this is a topic we could start with. I've really like discovered a love for like basic beers, essentially, like Pilsners, lagers, bar bitters, like just plain normal beers instead of like, and maybe that because the show has helped me do that, because you always, big hot bombs or super hazy, juicy ones or thick stouts. There's something that I've discovered, just a beer, like a cool, crisp beer is good sometimes.
No,
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I agree with you all that you're right. Some of that stuff is fun, but to me, like my favorite style is still just a pub mile, or just an ESB. Like I like a good bitter and just a pub bitter and something you could have with lunch, and it's good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like to roam around a little bit and sort of check stuff out if I'm in the right mood for it. But if I just want a beer, sometimes just a beer is good.
Yeah. Spectrum here in town does their. I interrupted you, Dave. Sorry. They do their their bar bitter is just like amazing beer.
Yeah.
And it's just like plain, I guess, but everything's so well made. Blind Man does this is pretty good too. It's, even though it's just a Pilsner, it's just like good. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No, I find I was just thinking, like, I mean, every beer has its place, right? Like,
Yeah.
For me, I like my hoppy beers, right? I want to have a good bite, but every once in a while, like sitting outside or you're barbecuing or you're doing something, a nice light beer works, like a good Kolsch or a nice Pilsner, like as long as it's clean and fresh and doesn't have that weird taste to it. So they all kind of fit into their own little niche in your day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do like a good Kolsch too, actually. That well-made Kolsch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Especially this summer. This tastes pretty springy, summery to me. It's good though.
So does anybody know what the difference between like a Kolsch and just like a Pilsner is? That's one thing I can never figure out. Kolsch is cold in German, so I assume it's cold fermented.
I know
lager, right?
I know it's typically from an area like Champagne. It's only supposed to be from France, but
Okay.
but I don't know if that tracks quite as much for Kolsch.
Interesting. Okay, so this is super crisp. Actually, very dry. You could drink a whole bunch of these pretty easily, I think.
Are you saying it's crushable? What that's on,
It's definitely crushable.
It's Mount Crushmore.
yes.
It's a chimera and a buffalo on it or something. I don't really know what's going on there. A goat, a bear, a buffalo, and
A wolf.
a wolf. Yeah, I was going to say a fox. Looks
Yeah,
like
it's a wolf. It's got to be a wolf.
Yeah.
It's Alberta. It's Alberta, man.
it's a fox for no reason. All right.
Could be a
Bandit,
terrier.
as we were joking about, got bought by Molson. Whole bunch of weird controversy. I think we've talked about this on previous shows. That weird, like, why do people get so angry when they get bought out?
I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like, so funny enough, this actually came up for us. Still my favorite brewery. Oh, yeah, Bandit Peak.
Peak, yeah.
This came up with Matt and I the other day because I bought Tree Brewing, which I hadn't had in forever.
Okay.
I saw it and I was in a small liquor store coming back from skiing, and I was like, it was basically all they had cold, and I was like, oh, I haven't had that in a long time. And so I grabbed it, and as we were looking at the can, it says like brewed by Fireweed Brewing in Vancouver, and I was like, I thought they were from Kelowna. So of course I looked it up that they got bought out a couple of years ago, even by essentially Big Rock Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
Big Rock owns them now, and they produce out of the same place that they produce Big Rock out of BC. For BC beer. Because Big Rock did that thing where it was cheaper for them to buy a brewery in BC than it would be to import beer into BC.
Okay.
So they actually brew Big Rock in Vancouver too, for the BC market. Yeah, and so I was just like, oh yeah, and we were kind of like debating on whether it tasted different or not. And it was just one of those things that I wasn't really mad about it per se. It was just that was kind of interesting. You're like, oh, you're produced by a giant brewery now. And funny enough, the people for that in the old brewery in Kelowna like changed their name, and now they're like Kelowna Brew Institute or something like that. And it's all the old people from Tree doing their own thing again. So I was like,
okay. I've had Tree Brewing. I just can't think of what I've had from them.
Cutthroat, probably. I think that's their most popular. They also had an Ascent Winter, which was pretty decent.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah.
Well, I think the concern too is if you have like a small brewery that gets bought out by a bigger brewery, is that they're going to use the brand but still cheapen the product that it was, right? So it's like, Brewery X, which is like a microbrewery, puts out a great product, gets bought out by Company B, but drops down on the quality of this and that, but still markets it and brings it to the market in the same box, right? So you're like, it's not quite the same as I remember. I thought this was great. Take Ballast Point in Point, right? Yeah. They dropped a little bit at some point there.
Who did they get bought by?
They got, I don't know if it's Budweiser or somebody in that effect.
InBev, maybe. Yeah,
they're big. I know they got bought out by somebody big. So
I didn't know.
I noticed that with Wild Rose that their quality changed at some point, but of course they got bought out by Sapporo, I think.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So, but I knew Ballast Point was bought by somebody. I just can't remember who.
Yeah, I can't either. I know it's a big one though.
Constellation Brands apparently. They bought it for $1 billion last year.
Oh,
wow. That's with a B. Yeah.
Well, and it's $32 for a 6-pack here of.
Well, they made it back in a year, so.
Yeah.
There's a lot that are like Wild Rose, Banded Peak here. There's another one I can't think of. Granville Island. It's
Yeah.
brewing the Labatt factory, Labatt or Molson factory that you can see out their window down the river, right? Like we're down on the ocean there. But honestly, if some company comes to you is like, here's a big stack of cash.
Right. But
I don't understand why. So do you think Molson just went to everybody? Like why Bandit Peak? Bandit Peak doesn't have a particularly strong brand name.
I think it was the rumor was it was the Barley Belt thing.
Yeah.
That Bandit Peak was holding on to that. They had traded.
That was what I heard too, yeah.
And that they bought it.
And I think that's big.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, quite a few years.
At the time, Bandit Peak was sharing that. They were letting anyone use it. But then Molson bought it. Now they claim they're going to let everybody else still use it, but who knows?
No. Speaking of OGs, Paul Pickles in chat.
Hey, Paul.
Drinking root beer, I'm sure.
Painting Terminators, I hope.
Yeah, painting minis. Probably painting probably Spartans, I'm guessing.
Yeah. More Tigers.
Yeah. No, we've been painting little Roman dudes. We got like
nice. I've been following that.
Yeah, just finished him last night. Rebased him. There's a reason it's fermented nerds, which is kind of like a weird thing. COVID's changed it, so essentially really changed the idea of what we were going to be because we just haven't been able to get together, right? So as much as we'd like her to film, so like I kind of just honestly took over the channel a little bit, did stuff, and hopefully in the future we can one day when after COVID 23, we can all get together.
Well, I think our first show was around January, February, where we got together.
March
and
3rd.
Everything hit the fan, and that was it.
Yeah, I think it was March 3rd.
Oh, was it that late? Okay.
Yeah.
That is late.
And then I didn't do anything until July, I think, after that.
Wow, it was in flux, like nobody knew what's going on. So,
but yeah, we did Gamer Night from New Era, and man, that beer sucked. I looked at my ratings. Speaking of ratings, getting us back on track. I looked at my ratings from lowest to highest, and it was pretty down there. And I was like, "Oh, okay." But the funny thing is, at the bottom of my list is all cherry beers. Obviously, I don't like.
Yeah. You just found something you did. You're like, "Oh wow, I really don't like that."
Yeah, it's really weird. I
haven't checked my lowest to highest.
Yeah, so I just did this year from lowest, now I'm on highest to lowest. So I'll just tell you some of my numbers, and if you guys have any yours, I did 226 unique beers. Like
you're doing your year.
Yeah, like 60 of them were on the channel though, right? Some of these numbers, obviously, I don't check everything in.
No,
because it says like 9 glitter bombs, 6 jam rocks, 6 super saturation. But like jam rocks and super sat, everyone was probably like, it was probably like I've definitely had more than 9 glitter bombs. I probably bought like six packs of that stuff. 88 breweries, which was I was like, okay. Again, the show is doing all that. Establishment though, I checked in 14 times. An establishment. 8 of the beers I rated 4 and above were establishment beers.
Mm.
So definitely my brewery of the year, I'd say.
I would say.
And then there's all kinds of weird things like 58 styles, 32 venues.
Yeah, so I got 113 beers. Again, I don't check everything. I used to be like, for me, it comes and goes in waves on tap. Like for a while there, I'm checking in everything I'm drinking, and then I stop for a bit, and then I pick it up again for a bit. So that's probably a little low. I got 53 different breweries, but my number one is Spectrum here in Lethbridge, which is surprised me for a little bit there. I was checking in everything I was drinking there, and so all of my like most frequent check-ins are all there or from there. We've been going there pretty well once a week since it opened.
Yeah, I only have 10 check-ins, it says at Spectrum. I'm like, that can't be right, because I definitely had like 4 or 5 one night. And when we go, we'd have a couple, right? So again, obviously I'm not checking in everything. So Dave, you were 260 something. You were telling me earlier.
For what, beers?
Yeah, for check-ins or like unique beer.
234, which pales in comparison to my wife. So.
And speaking of wives, while these guys are looking at numbers, check tomorrow at 6 o'clock. All our wives are going to take over the show. They are drinking a beet sour and a rosé cider. So that's the sweet and sour theme because they're way more inventive than us.
Yeah.
So they'll be on tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So check that out. The first episode of Fermented Wives, including Amanda and including Kelly, who are both in chat right now.
Her name tag better say thing.
Paul, Kelly is saying hi, Paul. Happy birthday. It is Paul's birthday tomorrow, everybody.
Yeah, happy birthday, Paul.
He turns 78.
So I was checking my low to high too. So lowest of the year was Gamer Night. That was my lowest. That was my lowest rated beer of this year. I don't know where it lands. I'm going to check all time because I'm not sure where it lands there. But it was the lowest of.
My lowest of all time is that chili beer I dumped down Dave's sink.
No, not even remind me. I think I deleted that from my Untap just because I don't want it on there.
And then another one, I had a double IPA in Edmonton. It was called like Bad Hair or something. Same thing. I give it like whatever the lowest rating I could give it, I gave it.
Oh, my lowest ever is that poor boy chili beer from Alley Cat.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah, that beer was so.
Speaking of terrible beers, guess what rates is number 3rd lowest, Dave? You'll appreciate this one. Those habanero sculpins we tried.
Oh, that was in Vancouver.
In Vancouver, yeah. That was terrible.
That's on par with the other one. So
yeah.
Apparently, they don't like our spicy beer. So
no.
Well, because spicy beer isn't good usually. Honestly.
Just doesn't pair well. So I was looking at my. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
My lowest of the year is that black cherry lager I had in the advent calendar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was my lowest this year. And then second worst was Lifted Sour Cherry from Incidents and Accidents, and then Gamer Night.
Gamer Night. Gamer Night was my lowest for the year. Actually, interestingly, second lowest for me is Watermelon Sculpin.
That's really bad.
From Ballast Point. Yeah, I was just like, wow, apparently Ballast Point is either like really good or I really don't like it.
So, have you had a good Ballast Point that's not Sculpin or grapefruit Sculpin?
I think I've had they've got a regular one.
They got like the Dorado or something, the one with the fish, right?
Yeah, it's like
they have longfin too.
Yeah, I think that's.
And they have more of a fish theme, but no, I think those two just pretty much are what I like with them.
Yeah, Big Eye is their IPA, and I rated that pretty, average, high average. So I must have liked it okay.
So what's your highest rated beer?
Highest rated? Well, I think we've talked about that before. When isn't it like if you dig back all the way down, it's like
no, but I mean like this year, especially since we're doing
this year. Oh, for the year. Okay, we're doing the year review. Let me dig that up. I
definitely have Disco and Super Saturation and Long Shadows in there, but I won't count them because I only checked in 2 Disco Soleils, which is funny because I've bought at least 2 6-packs.
It's been a weird year.
So my the new beer I checked in highest was Kaleidoscope Eyes from Establishment.
Oh yeah. So mine's tied with Kaleidoscope Eyes and Left My Wallet in El Segundo from Establishment.
Yeah, that's my highest rated.
Those are my 2 highest rated. Yeah.
Mine as well, actually. That's funny. And then Miss Mermaid right below that from Snake Lake in Sylvan Lake, Alberta.
Oh, and see, so mine's the Wolf from Sea Change just below that, and then Super Fusion from Establishment.
Okay. Yes.
I'm behind. I'm still looking at my worst ones.
Yeah.
That Ballast Point fell into my worst ones.
There's beer from here that I don't remember having.
What's that?
Go ahead about your Ballast Point story.
Yeah, well, it's Indra Kunin. Oh, Jesus. Kunindra. I don't even know what that one. I don't remember that at all. Oh, it's a stout. So Ballast Point did a stout, and it got a 0.25 for me.
Wow.
I'm a stout guy, so it had to have been bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the date on that one?
Oh shit!
Because there's a few back where I'm like, why did I rate that so low? And then I look at the date, and it's like 2015. I'm like,
yeah, it's like, oh, that was the
that's
first beer I ever had. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I have a few I
2018.
Really...
Oh, yeah.
So, April 1st, yeah.
So I had a beer here called Imposter Syndrome from Annex Ale, and I don't remember drinking that one. But I drank it the same day as something at Establishment. And I think that's when me and you were up there, Dave. I think we were up there.
What's that? Which one?
So Imposter Syndrome from Annex Ale Project in Calgary. And on the same day, I have one from Establishment. And we went to Calgary for some reason. I can't remember why. But I remember because you're in both my check-ins. Which, again, that was pre-COVID.
Probably a concert.
January 31st. The other thing I have is, like, I tend to check in beers higher at the brewery.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm there.
There's bias there for sure. Yeah, I always.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's actually better on tap or you're just feeling the mood when you're in there. I don't know. But yes, I agree with you.
I'm noticing that with Dandy. All my check-ins at Dandy, like the ones I had, there were, I mean, it's good beer, but were they 4 or 4.25? I don't know. Here's another one from Blind Man Brewing, May Long. Don't remember that one at all. May 30th. Super Fusion, I gave a 4.
Oh, you only give it a 4. Hey, I think a 4.5.
No,
like all Spectrums, everything from Spectrum's at least a 4 in my phone.
Yeah, me too. I like everything.
Mine are close to that too. So I still have Disco Soleil as my number one beer of all time. So
well, I was gonna say that's all time.
It's the
kumquat that gets you.
It's actually surprising because that's number 1. That Humulus Lupus is number 2, and then the original Innocent Gun is number 3 from all time. So hey, Coors Light didn't break the list. Thank God.
The original Innocent Gun.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Our next beer, I think. Yeah, this gunpowder.
Yeah. I was pretty excited when I saw that, and when I checked it in and saw none of us had tried it, I'm like, oh. So I mean, I'm always a fan, like again, IPA guy, and a citrus IPA is like, whew. Had that been a hazy citrus, I would have been all over it. But
right, that would have you would have gotten an extra point.
Yeah, I just would have took them all and ran. So
Innocent Gun from Scotland. This one will come in at 5.6. I'm going to finish this Pilsner.
I'm only pouring half glasses, so I can actually taste it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even drink like much of it. I've been talking so much I didn't barely drink any.
It smells really good. I can tell you that right now. I'll tell you that for nothing.
So as we pour this, IPA was my style of the year, unshockingly, and I bet you most people it's IPAs.
Yeah.
So from the marketing, Cascade, Centennial, Madrina, I think orange, grapefruit, pine, and then turned up to 11.
Yeah, so it'll be like very West Coasty style, like a Ballast Point or Long Shadows or something. I don't see does it say what hops are in here?
I just said it
right there.
Cascade,
so I was like, where'd you see that? But I just found it. So
I just found it. Yeah, Cascade, Centennial, and
Mandarina. I don't. Cascade and Centennial, your typical like tropical fruit and pine, right? Like you're very.
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm smelling a lot of orange.
That'll be the Mandarina, I assume. Give it away.
I almost smell like a whiskey to that, don't I? Maybe not.
That was to smell like you can smell the flintiness a little bit, but I mean that's like very West Coast wet sidewalk.
Yeah, it's got something on the back taste too that I'm not sure what it is, but I don't dislike it. It's just there's something interesting happening there on the back end,
like grapefruit. Because there's a lot of pine, right?
Definitely grapefruit in there.
Yeah,
it's almost. I almost taste like a vanilla to it.
It's kind of weird because there's nothing to it when you first take a sip.
No, it's all happening on the back end. Yeah, everything is happening after you're done. It's interesting. Actually, I really like this.
So Wooter in chat saying his top 3 breweries on Untappd were Cabin 88, and everyone else, the top one is Establishment Brewing. Like everyone else,
Yeah.
Because Establishment is just, I think Establishment, like I can admit that Establishment's overtaken Blind Man, I think, for me now.
Oh, there's number one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny. So last year, my number one was Cabin. But I think the difference between, for me, Cabin and Establishment is I have had beers from Cabin that I don't like. I've had a few of their beers where I'm just like, that was okay, or it just wasn't that good. I have yet to have something from Establishment that I don't. So, I mean, it might come, but it hasn't yet. And so that puts them over the top.
We talked about this one. Left my one else ago.
Yeah.
So it's a Lichtenheiner with pineapple. So Lichtenheiner is like an old style sour. There's like only a few places. I looked it up when I did the review for this. Almost nobody was making it. Got rediscovered. Nobody was making that style of beer for a long time. So it's essentially a smoked sour. They smoke their malts.
Yeah.
And then they make a sour beer. That beer 100% is the one I'll remember most from this year. It was great mark for sure.
Yeah, I've never tasted anything quite like it. And it was and so out of the can it was good. Luckily, before we shut down, like in between waves, I got up to Establishment and was in their tasting room, and it was even better on tap. Like it was just absolutely fabulous.
It tastes like Hawaiian pizza with bacon, kind of like a little, right? Because it's just so like salty, smoky.
I don't know. It was good.
Strong pineapple. It was amazing.
Although I'm really liking this Innocent Gun. I'm surprised, actually, that I haven't had an Innocent Gun in a long time. And my memories of them are not as rosy as Dave's. Like, not bad. I just don't remember them making that much of an impact on me. But this is really delicious.
Innocent Gun, for me, falls into the like Big Rock category, where it was like early craft beer kind of stuff you had, right?
Yeah.
So kind of like traditional or Grasshopper. I think our memories are fonder than the beer was good, if that makes sense, right? So
no, for sure.
Look who is on right now. Look who is in chat. Coltron Deluxe.
There he is. I told him to come on.
Nice.
Hey, buddy.
Another one of the OGs in here.
He's going to join us next time. He's going to do it.
Cool.
Do it, Colton. I dare you. Colton's
don't have the
from here now in Calgary, just enjoying life. Breweries at his fingertips. Everywhere, just amazing breweries everywhere. And then like some of the absolute best liquor stores in Alberta Beer Shade Collective.
He's got one right by his house that's just, the selection's insane. We were in there for about an hour one night, just looking at everything like, oh my God.
Is this that Giant Wine and Beyond? Is that where he's near?
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but
Grasping Hand wants Innocent Gun.
No, so
this one's good.
So there's some changing glasses. Like I'm being really fancy. Pour a different glass every time.
I've just got my one.
I've just been rinsing.
So my question: why is there two N's in gunpowder? I just noticed that. That's weird.
It's Innocent
Gun.
Innocent Gunpowder. Okay.
I got you. That's what I get you.
There is something that I can't pinpoint in this beer.
I know. Me too. I don't know what it is. It's something. It's something in the back, and I actually like it, and I wish I could put my finger on it because I'm enjoying the taste of it, but I can't tell you what it is. You know, like I couldn't put a word on it. Other than as soon as you said Wet Sidewalk, that's what I thought of. But I'm like, why am I enjoying the taste of Wet Sidewalk? There it is.
It's flinkiness
what an odd reference.
No, flinkiness is like a style in West Coast IPA. Like it's something you get. It's that dryness. It tastes like a wet sidewalk.
It's almost like peppery. Like is that like a little not spicy, but kind of in that vein.
It's obviously complicated because we can't quite put our fingers on it.
I'm seeing what the weirdos on Beer Advocate think.
Oh, yes. Hint of melon.
Hint of melon.
Hint of melon. Yep. Well, I think that citrus came through really fast, like that.
Yeah.
That pretty much.
Smell.
took you like that was the first thing that I recognized or that I felt about it, right? Like,
Okay, so people are saying oak or coconut.
I don't
Not
get coconut out of this.
No, but
Maybe
oak,
oak a little bit, maybe. Like I can see it.
It's funny
But-
when you said citrus, it smells more citrusy than it tastes, which is interesting.
yeah,
Still
it's
smell
very
whiskey.
like watered down grapefruit. But so I wonder if the gunpowder IPA isn't a takeoff their toasted oak IPA. It's just like same malt base, slightly different hops. So you get some of that still a little bit, right?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know what to think about it.
I
I like
like
it.
There's a weird like smokiness to it or something. I don't know. I can't.
maybe it's smokiness. I'm not sure, but like there's something in it that I'm really enjoying. Maybe it's
It is quite dry. There's like zero aftertaste. You get that back. You get nothing. It's pretty watered down, kind of like it's a little bready, a little caramel. You get a bit of orange, an orange peel, grapefruit, but it's all kind of watered down. And then you get some pine, but not enough. It's not super bitter. I'd be really curious how many IBUs this is.
They say pine on the can, but I didn't reach for pine right away. Not unless you think not pine needles. Maybe
I don't
pine
get pine.
wood, but I like it though.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at with this one. I don't mind it. That's for sure. I drink it. I will drink it.
Well, it's nice. It's actually a little lighter than I thought. Like,
Yeah.
It falls like I expected it to be a little hoppier, a little heavier, like kind of, they're a little more filling, but this one's actually kind of a light beer. Like I could definitely do a couple, 3 of these, no problem.
So it's interesting looking at my friends' check-ins on Untappd. They go from like 1 to 4.5. So
That's a bit of a swing, eh?
yeah. Best before. Oh, it's good. It's still good for like 4 or 5 months. So it's actually like fairly newly canned. So do they can in Scotland, do you think, or do they can here?
No, there's no way they ship cans overseas.
Because for instance, I learned this steam whistle. Fat Tire is made out of steam whistle. Like so, New Belgium contracts steam whistle to brew for Canada because it's cheaper than bringing it across the border.
No, absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then there's a couple others that I was surprised. I just can't remember what they were off the top of my head. But yeah, a couple people use a steam whistle because, like, honestly, how much steam whistle do they need to make?
Well, seeing that's all they do.
So literally, but when we stopped in, they're like, "Yep, that's all we make here." So,
Do you want a big glass or a little glass?
Yeah.
Options.
But they had made other flavors, which is interesting. Steam whistle is way better on location than normal than you get anywhere else. So much better.
Wow.
Like,
it's
water
ambience though too, right?
Yeah, but it was better. Yeah, definitely ambient. It was packed. But again, water, right? So, like that water there compared to what it's sitting somewhere. So,
yeah, I liked that actually.
it's weird because I'm very sure it's a mental thing, but I get like almost so you remember those guns you'd have the red disc with and you'd shoot and like the little cap guns.
Is it it's the name
smell? But that smell is what I get in the beer, and I think I'm just being tricked by the name.
I think so. I think what's happening is you fell for the marketing.
Doped into it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think about this one. That's weird. That's interesting. I like when I walk away not 100% sure if I like it or not. So it makes me want to return. I mean, there's a lot of those in the advent calendar where I'm like, did I like that? I don't know. And then I started rearranging my top for the review thing I'm gonna do. I sure changed it a lot as we went. Like I moved beers up and down the rankings. So I think my top 5 were Stronghold, the Imperial Dark Ale, Gold, Good Authority, the Black Forest, and then Okami Kasu. Those are my top 5. For a while, I had all the IPAs in there, and I don't remember a thing about them.
Yeah.
So
once you kind of IPA is like a taste, right? Well, especially the general type, it's like unless you're roaming around with different hops in particular, IPAs sometimes can all blend. That everybody's kind of got one, and they all kind of taste the same. So
they get very samey, 100%. Like your West Coast IPAs aren't that different.
No.
They're just made better, or they use that one hop or that one malt that is just so much better. I find actually I like Alberta IPAs more than like IPAs from elsewhere, and I wonder if that's because all the malting's done here.
You're right, local malt, yeah. So we get some good malt here. Yeah.
You get Origin, Red Shed, and they do all the malting here, so it's so fresh. Or they get the hops kind of local-ish. So I wonder if that plays into it. Okay, so we had a Pilsner.
Mm-hmm.
For those just tuning in or just watching now, we had a Pilsner, Mount Crushmore from Banded Pete. Then we tried this Gunpowder IPA loaded with citrus hops from Innocent Gun in Scotland. It's a 5.5. So then now we'll start stepping it up. So completely different beer. I'm going to have a little drink of water between this one. A chai winter porter from Village called Monk.
Well, this is the one that I've supposedly had before.
Yeah, so it was on there.
Village is out of Calgary. Now, did Village get bought out as well?
I haven't heard that.
Big companies buying things. For some reason, I thought Village might have got bought, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, they're out of Calgary. They've been around for a long, long time. And this guy comes in at 6.2. So chai, it'll have chai taste if you know what that's like kind of tea, milky. And
well, it's funny.
Are like the best.
Chai taste is, well, chai in particular is always kind of hit and miss with me because cinnamon tends to give me heartburn. So either you're into it or I'm really not. And so chai tends to be a little hit and miss with me. So I'm curious as to how I'm going to like this now and how I liked it then. That'll be kind of fun.
Yeah. I have to duck out because that's actually the one beer I didn't grab. Hurry back.
So what is in chai? Cinnamon, right? Nutmeg?
Yeah.
And like milk or cream, right?
I think it's a kind of tea leaf too.
Tea beverage made by boiling black tea in milk and water with blah, 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 blah. So it's Indian. What is a chai? So it's a Hindi tea.
So if you want to make your own, it's ginger, cinnamon, allspice, clove, cardamom, and nutmeg.
Holy. And then, boiled in milk or water.
Mm-hmm. So it tends to depend on for me, it tends to depend on the cinnamon content. Lots of cinnamon, not good for coffee. Lower cinnamon, can get by.
Mm. So it definitely gives off porter vibes, which is good. It's good that it's a chai. So it's fairly watery. Stout will be thicker. A stout is essentially a better version of a porter. Porters existed before stouts.
It's almost, it's a little darker than amber, but it's not quite dark. Eh? It's got a rosy color to it.
And whitish head, tan head. Porters are stouts are essentially grown up porters. Porters have always existed. Like that style of beer has always existed. Stouts are like the refined version of a porter. A bit thicker.
It's kind of weak in the knees. It's
so
bad.
Silk Road's custom chai blend. So I'm assuming Silk Road will be
Teacup.
What's that?
Or Silk Road. I think they do spice.
Yeah, that's probably some Calgary local place.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like our first video is a dog in the background.
Yeah. I think I've gotten spices from Silk Road before.
So the one thing that always kind of turns me off on a porter is that it'll have some of the taste of like another dark, like a stout kind of, but it's so watery.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting right now. Like I said, when I said it was weak in the knees, it's pretty watery.
But the coffee comes through in this one, I think, in the forefront.
Yeah, I get that.
But,
so that'll be the So we're all on our phones, and it's really just because we're looking stuff up on the board.
Good radio.
I'm looking at Village Brewery right now in Calgary. So I can't remember what other beers. So Village has been around for a long, long time.
They have lots. Like their stout, their
Forge.
It's Forge something is their stout, which is really good. The Village Bridesmaid, which is their blonde, is really good.
Okay.
They have some good beers.
Their Blacksmith is pretty good. I remember that.
That Blacksmith.
I like their Blacksmith. I like their Blacksmith.
As on Forge, but as on the right track. So
yeah, you're on the right track. Yes, so you're right, Dave. I have had this before in 2015, Christmas of 2015.
3.5, I think it was.
3.25, and I rated it as mostly okay. And so
Wow.
I think it really, with that
quality tip for you there, kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with that generous review, I think I'm in agreement with 2015 Kyle, and that this is mostly okay.
Okay, so speaking of Untapped, what are you guys giving this Mount Crushmore on Untapped?
I don't even remember now.
I would honestly, I think I'm going to base it just on the fact that it's a Pilsner, but it's a good Pilsner. I'd give it a 3.25, 3.5, just because it's a little bit better than like a Budweiser, Coors Light. Like it has a little more flavor to it, a little more crushable, but I'd rather drink those than those. So I'm putting it at 3.25 range.
Yeah, I would say the same.
Yeah, 3.25. So do you rate beers on how well they compare in that style?
No.
No. We just mentioned that, right? Like, so most, for example, I'd assume with Dave, most sours don't get rated.
No, we went through this. I don't rate sours.
No, yeah.
If I taste a sour that I really like, then I'll give it a 3 probably.
Yeah, but do you maybe rate IPAs compared to other IPAs and not IPAs compared to other beers?
No, I do. I think that I tend to rate, my rating goes, almost everything starts at 3, right? If it's an okay beer, it gets a 3. But if it's like a little underwhelming, then it drops comparatively. But if it's like, okay, this is going to give me an IPA that I'm going to have, it's like, oh my God, like, again, maybe the mood, whatever. If it just kind of strokes the right things, then it goes up higher from there. So
yeah,
that's basically where I work, just off the 3 scale. And if it's really good, then I'll get a little higher.
Well, and I agree with you, Dave, that I start generally around 2.5, 3 because it's still beer at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So as long as it's not like heinously, then it tends to land around there. But my ratings are not as scientific or as particular as like, oh, I'm comparing this to other porters. I'm like, how much did I like the taste of this beer between 1 and 5? And so my ratings tend to kind of, a lot of them fall into that squishy between 3 and 4. A lot lands in there because it's just sort of, it tasted good. Like I said, to really break up high, because like if you're thinking about by style, it would be impossible to rate that Left My Wallet because it's the only style of that you've ever had. So for me, it was like, how did it make me feel? Like, did I like it? Would I be like, I would chase this beer around? Then, it rates high,
I was just looking at that on my Untapped. I haven't even had that one. I don't know how I even missed that. Heck, do you have guys night out without me?
You must have been sick that day.
I just went and grabbed one at Andrew Hilton. They had singles.
Oh, did they?
No. Oh no, actually, I got this from Dylan's.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then I picked it up because we came in for poutine that night, and you were like, "Oh, try this beer," and we were like, "All right, we tried it out." Yeah.
It was like I was just like,
it was amazing,
so good. I tend to like start at 3, and if I like most of these beers are 3s because I'll never remember I drank them.
Yeah.
Right, 3.25. I don't mind this chai porter, but none of these beers I'll ever chase down again.
No.
No, very few. But like I said, like a beer's a beer. Like if it's there's nothing
the end of
really.
the day,
It's
yeah.
not great. It's not bad. It's all right. It's a 3.
If I rate it below
So-
3, it was bad. And
Yeah.
I will
I
rate
think
it. So, like that Sneaky Weasel lager was garbage. I hated it. I gave it like a 2.5.
That's where I put it. Yeah.
But
It
I'll
was
also
trash.
forget that I drank that long. But the beers that are like 1 or 0.5 or that's beers I'm always gonna remember. It's like the
Right.
4.5s, right? 4.5s. Anything above 4 is gonna be mind-blowingly good, and I'll never forget it. Or it's something that goes onto the menu and it's a repeat beer.
Right. Yeah. Something you're going to want to have lots of.
Yeah.
Or again. Yeah.
Yeah, because I find it really hard to rate a beer 5. 4, even 4.5 is like
Got to be good.
Yeah.
Got to be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've given out a few 4.5s, but like above that, like 4.75, there's only a few at that level.
I've given some joke ones out, honestly, like the Black Ice that year in the calendar. I give it a 5. I gave Dave's Finnish beer a 5, so he didn't feel bad.
Hey, listen, we all did that.
I appreciate it, boys.
I think I put a Rickards Red at a 5. I put a PBR at a 5 because I was probably 8 in.
At the time, right?
Well, go back to your early days of Untapped. Like my first early ones was Stella. Stella Artois was a 5. Rickards Red was a 5. It's like I didn't even know what beer was back then, right?
5 stars because it's delicious.
Yeah. Well, like all the October, anything I've ever had at any Oktoberfest party.
Starts with a 3 and climbs to a 5 as the night goes on.
Yeah. So there's somebody said, Untapped is fun for tracking beer. The rating I'm kind of over a little bit.
Yeah. No, I tend not.
I don't even like. There's so often I don't leave a rating. Like I did, like the Mega Blend we did on your birthday. That's really wild sour. The big bottle.
Oh, that was impossible. I
didn't know how to rate that because it was too complicated.
Yeah.
Then we did the 100 subscriber episode, which I still have to edit, and make sure you check that out. We did the other bottle, Callie and I couldn't rate it because it was just like too complicated. There's 7,000 tastes and aromas, and it was like beyond my palate. And I didn't think it would be fair for me to give it a rating.
You're like 3 out of 5. Thanks. Yeah.
But
I enjoyed it, but I drank 1 glass. That's it, because it gave me heartburn.
Yeah.
Because it probably had lots of tannins or sulfites or something in it that gives you heartburns, right? Or like you with cinnamon, right? So, but it was really good, and it was like going to a really fancy restaurant where you have some fancy meal that you've never eaten before, and you're like, I think that was good. I think that was really good,
right?
But I'm not really sure. Am I supposed to say it was good? Or was it good? That's how it felt for me a little bit.
Well, I think that Untapped should just I don't think you need to use it to share to the world which beers are good, which beers are bad. I use it for my personal.
Yeah.
So it's like if I look back, it's like, oh, I like this, but it also shows you it shares styles and shares things there you can grow off that, right? So it's not like whether it's a good beer or bad beer per se. It's your personal taste, right? It's almost like a self-inventory of it.
Yeah.
So
not only that, but you can send a message, which I've sent to Wallie and you a couple of times, like, hey, where did you get that? Because that looked great. Not necessarily how you rated it, but it looked delicious, and I know I want to try it. Yeah. So
it was funny because Untapped was developed as like essentially social media, Facebook for beer, and it's become a library.
Yeah, more than social media.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's some people that do use it that way, but I'm definitely not. That because I mean, we've got friends on our Untapped list to check in hundreds of beers, like just done and rate them, and I'm just like, okay, but
people who I don't know, I've never met, I don't even know how they're on my friends list, and they're like, I look at them like, who's this guy? I'm like, 4,500 unique beers.
Yeah.
Like, who are you?
That's a career. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
Screw drywall. I'm back. I'm going beer drinker now.
Yeah.
Untapped, especially though this year, really, it'll speak to the kind of year it's been. Like, I only went to 32 different places to drink beer, which sounds like a lot, but you have to remember, like, I will also check in like the liquor store I bought it at. So really, 32 venues is.
I had 152.
See, I typically don't. I don't think I do venues.
But you did, and it's funny because we talked about this when you dropped off the beer from a
Yeah. Well, because I thought Spectrum would probably be my highest, but it wasn't. It was invasive species, so.
Which is Florida,
right? Brewery in Fort Lauderdale, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually has.
We forget there was a world.
Yeah, I know, right?
Things did happen for a bit there, yeah.
Yeah, they're like we were out and about doing things for 2 or 3 months, really. Here,
it seems like 30 years ago now, though. So
it was just
my top venue is Untapped at Home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, mine definitely is.
And then Spectrum is next.
No,
I don't go to place.
Mine. I got mine, and then Invasive Species, Spectrum, Tide, and then Phillips Brewing for whatever reason.
Yes, it is Jacob.
Exactly who we're talking about.
I was dunking on Jacob. That is exactly.
I have a couple random people I picked up in Toronto. They must have been in the place I checked in on, and the same thing. There's like unreal amount of beer. But the thing about Jacob that pissed me off, he's like a skinny guy, and he drinks about 1,000 beer a day.
Sips, maybe.
So, 32 venues. I was like, okay, cool. So
19 for me because I'm less exciting. I also don't check venues in lots. I typically.
Yeah.
I guess some liquor stores and like playing at the shop, or like if I'm drank a beer at the same place a few times, I'll check in areas around it. So if I'm at like Dave's, I'm checking in Hades, but I'm also checking in like
the Wilderness National Park or whatever.
Yeah, because I want badges.
Why not?
That's why we do this. Like, really.
Right, gamify. So, how many badges in 2020?
Oh, how many badges? Jesus.
Right?
Badges.
Because they
273.
Oh,
they retroactively.
Such a rookie.
Oh, really? What'd you get?
186.
Oh, jeez.
They actually added a bunch retroactively too, right?
Yeah.
So
they did, but you have to check into them to activate them, right?
Those were fun days though when they first put those out and you were getting like 10 a check-in.
Oh, I know, right? Your phone just lit up. You're so excited. Want to high five my neighbors.
I got 243 new badges.
Wow.
Well, that's good. That's lots.
Well,
of course,
especially when they up the level to what? I think it's 100 now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, but you would have got a lot of different styles doing the channel. Boy, that probably.
I got 58.
62. That's
wow, good for you.
Yeah, pretty close. Out of 215 available, so.
I want to know what all the rest is. Well, because it's going to be like American IPA and British IPA and a hazy IPA and 17 versions of hazy IPAs. IPA, obviously, the top style because it's probably really the top style in the world at this point. I think.
I would agree.
I mean, there was a global hop shortage.
Raw J Beer Ventures, awesome show. Check it out. It is super great. He has an awesome setup. He has the best intro in the entire business. So check him out. Cheers, Rod. Thanks for tuning in tonight.
Well, we want to dip into the last one there, boys?
Yeah, sure. Let me just.
What do you think? You ready? Oh, put them chies down.
Guy needed a glass.
I don't know what I think about. Yeah, that was just like.
I think I speak for all of us when I say mostly okay.
Mostly okay. That's
2015. Kyle speaks for all of us.
That's how I am with all these.
It was mostly okay.
The most fine. Enjoyable, and by most I mean it was the mostly okayest.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't stand out. So just
if you
in the middle of the mosh pit that nobody cares about.
If you guys really want very interesting beer tomorrow, the Fermented Wives are trying a very interesting sour.
That I've actually had before.
Wow.
I've heard of it, so I have it in my fridge because my kid decided he needed to buy me beer for Christmas. He's 5. I'm like, is this the impression I'm leaving on you?
Yeah, right. They're like, Dad. Wait till he goes to school. And he's like, my dad loves beer. Like, thanks. On his school reports.
What does your dad do for a living? He drinks beer
on the internet.
Yeah. Colton's asking which beer gets the most sportsman award.
Oh, the most sportsman?
The most sportsman?
Yeah.
What, tonight or all time?
I'm hoping he pulls it in and gets in here because I would love.
Oh, he will.
Okay, so our last beer is from brewery, the Musketeers, Brewery Musketeers. It is their Troubadour Magma.
So I'm going to turn in my.
These guys are from Belgium. This beer checks in at 9%. I had a lot of food before I came on here tonight, by the way. So make sure.
So I think this might cost me a little bit of beer cred here, but I'm really hoping this isn't too much of a Trappist style because I really don't. I mean, I know and everybody goes like nutso for it. Everybody in the beer community is like, oh, Trappist.
Okay. I gotta get a bottle opener. Sorry.
I need a glass for my water, not my like purple water bottle. I'm 100% on board. I think old world beers are really overrated.
Right? They're like everything from the old world is good, like the Black Plague and
Trappist beers aren't
Trappist beer. Yeah, no thanks.
I don't think I've had like so Belgian beers. You know, like the traditional Belgian. This is a Belgian triple, I think. Yeah. So Belgian, doubles, triples, quads. I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of Trappist at all. I like lambics, which are old world, but that's
that's one thing I've got time for. I've got time for lambics because they're really quite interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff happening.
Yeah,
and there's just something about a Trappist style. As soon as I smell this, I'm like, yep, that's where we're at. And so this is going to be not.
So they use like I think what I think happened is. It's super hipster just for like that kind of stuff. It just is, right?
It's the Radiohead. It's the Radiohead of beer. When somebody asks you your favorite band, when you say Radiohead, you're like, yeah, okay, cool.
Right? I love Radiohead. It's like nobody.
No, you don't.
See, we are just insulting Rod here. He's like, Belgian beers are my favorite.
Oh, see, that's because Rod's a real beer guy, and we're just sort of pretenders.
What are just a bunch of hacks that
we're just old guys who actually like to drink.
So my thing is, I think our agricultural scene's much more robust here.
Yeah, that's it. It's the ag scene. That's why I don't like.
Again, like the colonial settler thing where it's like we have to be independent, so we're willing to stretch things a bit more. Our scene tends to stretch like hazy IPAs, for instance. That is not a European thing. That is purely purely American, or North American, I guess now. The Brute style IPA. That was a guy in San Francisco fucked up his beer. And that's what came out. And he's
I really like it too.
And this beer, I made a mistake. I took too much sugar out of my beer. But this will work, right? So.
Did you at the Trappist, Dave? Did you get in?
What's it? Yeah, what?
We're talking about
the real Belgian Trappist style, if you're into it.
So yeah, Belgian Trappist. We're talking about old world beers are, in our opinion, and I get why people like them. Like if you're a real beer guy and like the art of the beer and everything, it's like I get why you like that because you can. There's a lot of nuance in the beer, I think. It's just not for me. Like the only old world style I really like is like we said is lambics. Probably
this one's not for you.
Well, it was interesting that before I was saying like just by the smell of it, that Trappist Belgian style. I think it's in the yeast for me. I don't love the taste of it. No. On the other hand, so when I sipped this, I sort of like winced a bit because I was like, okay, here it comes. Like I know what I'm going to taste. But then there's something that hits in the back end of this that I actually really like.
So it's
got it almost has like a bitter at the end, right? Like
yeah,
you know, right. like
it finishes
kind of like it comes in one way, but it leaves another way, and for me it kind of is almost like an upside down bell curve where I smell it and I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
At first taste I'm like, ugh. and then it picks up at the end. So
I think you're like me. I think you guys are both like we have different variants of beers we like, but I don't like yeast forward beers very much. Any beer that's yeast first over hops or malt. I don't mind malty beer, and I don't mind hoppy beer.
Yeah.
But it's yeast forward, and you get that weird, like, fuzzy tongue kind of thing.
Anything that tastes like the old banana penicillin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's that's where I'm out.
Yeah, like, even looking again on Beer Advocate, because this is where, like, you get the most insane, overblown description.
The most known tastes, the shoe leather, old smoked cigar.
Okay. Tell me if you get any of these. Let's take a drink. Take a nice, good drink, and then I'll tell
Should
me.
I smell it first? Smell, then sip. Okay.
Yeah.
Smell, sip.
It smells like a horse blanket or something.
Yeah, I had that written down. Weird.
Yeah, horse.
Oh no, sorry, it's donkey blanket, but whatever.
Nice, citrusy and tropical aroma with loads of passion fruit, grapefruit, and caramel.
Nope.
I get none of that.
Pepper.
Yeah, I get more of a spice out of it.
Yeah.
Like
Original flavor with notes of grapefruit, Belgian yeast, which I get,
Belgian
for sure.
yeast,
Candied sugar, white grapes, which I do get actually a little bit, pear, caramel, a little bit, pineapple, tangy, noble hops, dry apple, decent bitterness. I think like, and I try to do this on the channel as much as I can, is that I'm not a beer expert. None of us are. None of us work in the industry, have brewed a beer in our life. We're just a bunch of guys who like drinking beer and we like playing games. And that's what channel was originally going to be. And obviously COVID changed it. So I'm learning as I go a lot. But no matter how hard I try and learn, I just can't get into this style. It's peppery and weird. Like that peppery thing throws me off so hard. And I like pepper in food and I like spicy food. But like coriander, cloves, coriander's like, those like kind of farmyard. The same reason I don't like saisons.
So here's the weird thing. I really like saison, but I don't. But it's like, to me, there's a line there between a Trappist and a saison style. Like, well, you're right. One's more spice for it, but it's that really yeasty kind of. Like right now, I mentioned before that after the first taste, there was an aftertaste that I liked. Like spice from yeast. Yeah, that I've got something sitting right on the top of my palate from this beer that I'm not enjoying. That it's like it's high and in the back of my mouth, and I'm not loving it. So, and it's sitting there, and I can almost feel it. It's like
the one thing I do is when I review a beer, I will look it up first, because I want to compare how it expresses with me compared to other people, especially like real beer people. So I'm like, okay, here's his notes. This is what the actual like brewery says it should taste like and smell like. And the one thing about beer is you get like a lot of weird things like Band-Aid and horse blanket and wet sidewalk. And these are like breweries talk about.
Yeah.
Because lambics are like that. Lambics are supposed to be like, horse blanket is a thing in lambics. I'm like, I've never tasted a horse blanket.
Nobody has. That's the whole thing. It's kind of baloney. But to me, it doesn't taste good. Yes.
Hint of melon.
Hint of melon was our first joke.
Hint of melon.
I can't remember what that beer was that we were drinking that one, and you were looking it up on Beer Advocate, and that was the.
I'm gonna say watermelon boxer because
like
it just seems fitting.
Melon, like honestly, they don't smell that strong, right? So when I feel like on Beer Advocate, they have like the people who really review and do the long, detailed reviews with aroma. So they'll look at it. They know about, they're gonna look at it, tell you all the details, which is important for sure. Aroma, and then they have a paragraph on aroma and paragraphs on flavor and mouthfeel. I'm like, I wonder if it's not just like kind of copy and paste sometimes.
Well, or that. Well, so there was I remember reading an article a number of years ago about that for wine tasting, when by and large most of the like really advanced wine tasting stuff was largely baloney, because the guy who wrote the article was a big like wine reviewer, and he was like, basically at the end of the day, it comes down to, do you like it, yes or no?
So Rod bringing up,
yeah, see, look at after you do it. I agree with Rod that I like to look after.
Isn't that kind of what we're doing here, though? Like, not doing that, but we're like just putting out our own how we think about it. Like, not saying like this is what the review says. This is not what everybody else says. This is what I think about it.
Yeah.
So it gives it a different perspective. Like maybe it's the same, maybe it's different than what reviewers put out.
So,
yeah.
Do you think
you're right? I like to look after, though. I like to taste it, decide what I like to think, and then go see it.
Because I actually like this one. So
do you like this one? Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Do you think it's been tainted by the previous beers, like your palate? So I try and like drink some water and just
sometimes
after.
I did. I've been.
There's
my water. I've been cleansing between.
Yeah, but if you have like an IPA, kill a little of your taste buds, then it's hard to get a subtle beer after that. And I agree. That's a thing for sure.
As we learned on the first history and beer tour we did, Dave, where we got in that's what got us into craft beer.
Yeah.
Drink horizontal.
Yeah.
Right. Drink.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like, this is kind of like all over the place, which is fine. That's fun.
Yeah.
Well, we did. We did the right way.
Anyway, so.
No.
Yeah, I did. I didn't love this one, but again, like honestly, it's that style, and it's probably it's one of the better ones I've had in that style. So that's the kind of a thing.
Do you think when you see that style that you probably like, okay, if that's one that you don't typically like, that you kind of come in with a negative attitude a bit?
I absolutely do. I absolutely think that's probably
because I do that with like farmhouse and saisons because I don't like them. I know I don't, and I'm like, it's gonna be shit.
Well, and that's the thing. It's so trying, but yeah, it's. But you're right, because like even as soon as I smelled it, I was like, I'm not.
Yeah, it's hard. Though. I think it just gets ingrained in there, right?
Yeah.
I've still never had a farmhouse I like though. Not at all.
No, can't. I don't know.
It's like some of my top ones that I've read are saison, because I really like I like it when they're subtle and there's lots going on. I think you mentioned farmhouse, like that smell, that evocative taste. That's definitely in there, and it's good. But for some reason, there's just something in that, and you're right. It might largely be mental that I've.
I was just curious. It wasn't the thing. It's just I was kind of wondering, like, because I know I do that personally. Like, it's like, oh, look, it's a sour. Ugh.
Oh, you're like, I'm already out. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
But like, everybody can't like everything, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Sort of.
But then sometimes you just discover like a weird.
Right.
Rod's in here, and Rod's very knowledgeable. Rod, have you ever had? You can't see it. A Lichtenheiner.
Yeah, good question.
Because that's like, I've heard of every style. I thought, and then I seen that. Because that was one that was interesting. I'm like, I have no idea what this is. Oh, it's a sour. Yeah, I'll try it.
Blew us away.
I go to a beer store and I see Trappist or farmhouse, I always stay away. And it's weird that I don't like farmhouse. And again, we'll just reiterate this. I like lambics, which are farmhouse sours.
Ugh.
Right?
I'm already out.
Dave just had a waking nightmare.
I'm out.
Dave just leaves. Lambics are like, if you were very visual or imaginative, you'd never look about how lambics are made.
I think it's cool. I think it's. I find it neat that there's a whole job in Europe that you could be a lambic blender. You don't brew it. You're just the person that blends the different years together to make it taste good. I think that is neat.
Yeah,
and so
nobody's lambic. They basically, like everybody who makes lambics, they never sell that lambic. They always mix it with somebody else's lambic. Always. It's a thing. They're open lambic, for anybody who doesn't know, it's open fermentation. So the mash is cooled down in something called a cool ship, which is just a big copper or iron bowl, open.
Yeah, wild yeast.
It ferments with wild yeast from the air. And then it's put into a wooden barrel where it'll also age from bacteria and yeast in that. And that's where you'll get a lot of that fermentation. So they're never the same ever. Because
they also
make one batch and spider web falls in, and you make the next batch and there's no spider web.
And the whole spider falls in. I was gonna say, I actually really like a wild East Ale every once in a while too. Like when it's funky and interesting. It's just there's just something in that Trappist style that I don't care for, and maybe it's something that I just have to get over. That it's got some kind of like bad connotation that like I'll never not drink it.
Yeah,
but there's
something you have to get over. It's just it doesn't saturate what you want it to, right? Like,
the thing is, like, if somebody
hit the right points.
Yeah.
So
if somebody handed me one, it's not like I would say I'm not drinking. It's just a matter of that. That's one of those things. Go, that's not my favorite.
If I have a choice of two, the PBR looks better.
So the real question is, if somebody handed you, is there any beer you would say no to?
Yes.
No, probably not. If somebody handed it to me.
Oh, I see a monkey.
No, I'm an asshole.
Mom, you want the quiet beer?
Here, take her this one first.
Quiet.
No, take her this one. Okay.
That would really look like cool.
Okay, take her. Don't drink anything.
What did that guy?
It's a doll. He's a monk.
Monk.
Yeah. That's my grasping hand.
Yeah.
Go downstairs and get the beer.
Yours has a lot more questions.
Yeah. So sorry. If somebody's like, you're just at a party, at a house, at a backyard, somebody hands you beer, which beer do you say no to?
No, there's none. I don't. There's not beer that I hate enough that I would. I mean, I might rib somebody over it if they handed me like an actual like Pilsner brand Pilsner. I'd be like, really? Are we still in high school? But I don't think I would like. I wouldn't not drink it. You know, I would just be like,
like spill it by accident.
Hi, YouTubers.
You see how you do? Put your shirt on. Okay, go see Mama.
Good night.
Oh, live television.
Good. Never gets.
Oliver loves YouTube. So, yeah, there's almost nothing I would turn down. Except
in that situation, no. But if I'm reaching into a cooler, let's say there's a cooler with a few beers. They're like, okay, there's a this. 3 beers you don't like. Do you pull one out? Or you're like, I'm just gonna have a water.
There's
right. I think that's a little more.
That's a little different, yeah. Colton, it's a good point though. Rogue maple bacon, because Rogue made a couple
that
were just the worst.
God.
There was one.
We get flashbacks already from that. Thanks, Colton.
Voodoo donut or something like that, where I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's all donut. No, it's terrible. Ugh.
But Rogues like that though. They really stretch out there for like their styles. They just make like they must have like 6 or 8 brewers that are just like, it's my turn. And it's like a weird beer, right?
But they can knock it out of the park though. Rogue has some fantastic beers. I
still really like Dead Guy too. Like they're just their basic.
Yeah, Dead Guy, 100%. Arrogant Bastard, is that not them?
No, that Arrogant Bastard's Stone.
Oh, Stone. Shit, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Rogue makes. You can get it at Petrus. It's pinch of salt.
Just water.
Like salty kind of sours. Get that one. Amanda's saying, to be fair, we were boarding yesterday and Pilsners looked really good at lunchtime.
Yeah, they did really good. I had Bud Lights instead, but yeah, it was just
time and place, right?
Yeah. It's funny. There was a beer, and I wish I could remember the name of it. As soon as he said maple bacon, that there was thought it was either a Village or an Alley Cat, maybe. That was a maple.
No, it was Alley Cat.
It tastes like pancake syrup. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a maple blue. Oh my god.
Oh, I hated that.
We looked at it last night.
I hated that beer so much.
Are you
No.
No. No, the real question is, like, I think some of these beers, so like the habanero sculpin, weird pancake maple thing, when they have like, what was the other beer that had like, did it come out this year and had like 7 adjectives?
Oh yes, that's all the things. That Collective Arts makes one that hilariously, Kyle Baines from on watching his review of that, he is like, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, your day is a little worse because you had that. Like once. And I really kind of want to try it because of that. But he said it was easily the worst beer he's ever had. Easily.
Are those beers meant to be good, or are they meant to be an experience, right?
I don't know.
Because how can they be good?
You got to think too, though. As a smaller brewer, any brewery, you want to experiment, right? Some are gonna hit, some are gonna miss. Like you're gonna have a shit beer, it's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right? But you're gonna throw things out there, throw something in there. You never know. Sometimes like, ooh, you come out with like, wow, that one took off. Wow, that one did not. No more bananas in our mash. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, a whole wedding cake, right? Rogan Battle don't do 80 flats of a beer. They do their lowest beer will be 800 flats, right? Or something.
Well, yeah. But you're still moving more than that.
Way out there sometimes.
But once you have like your place product, like you're gonna have your lager, your stout, your IPA that you like just mass market no matter what. That's where your money is. That allows you the 2 vats to experiment with, right? Or a vat.
I do not like this Troubadour, by the way, at all.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, I didn't care. Again, there was just something about it that I was just
something. I don't like beer that tastes like spice. So like pepper. And that kind of stuff, like cloves, coriander. I think it's just that flavor, like old world style of yeast, right? I just don't like that.
I don't mind it. I think, again, I wouldn't drink, 4 of these, but one was nice. Like I actually enjoyed that. It had it was quite a full palate, right? There was a lot of things going on with that one.
Yeah.
So I kind of enjoyed that.
So I had
to look
it up.
Over spice. It was just right.
So I had to look it up because it was bugging me. But the one that twigged me to was Amber's Brewing Company Sap Vampire Maple Lager. That was the one where I was like, it tasted like pancake syrup, and I was like, ugh. That I don't mind a maple porter or a maple stout, something that's got a heavy back to it. But a maple lager was just not. I was not into it.
Boingly sweet.
Yeah, it tasted like glass of syrup, and I was just like, ooh. Yeah, that was before I was rating on a tap. That one stuck out of my head as being particularly bad. And then some of the weird ones from Rogue, the maple bacon. Ugh.
Maple, no. Any beer that has maple in it now, I'm just kicking it right out of the store. I'm not going to buy it. I'm just kicking it out of the store.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bright pink bottle because I remember opening that in the house and it stunk. As soon as you open it up, you're like, oh, this is not going to be a good time.
No,
the other thing
it'll never work. Brewers, if anybody's listening, brewers, maple never works in beer. Just
So maple, spicy beer, cherry.
Right. What we need to do is we need to put together a spicy maple cherry lager or something like that. Just to sting you.
Spicy maple cherry farmhouse.
Saison, yes. Spicy maple cherries.
9 pounds of Cascade hops.
Rod saying Rogue does take some risks, but I've had some good maple and bacon beers. Sound like this may not be on the list. I bet you in the States, because we're all Canadian, Rod, if you don't know, is the sheer amount of breweries there.
Volume, yeah.
Just the volume, they're bound to get good, weird beers. Like if you're getting 100 different maple beers made, you're bound to have a good one. I'm sure I've had good maple beers.
No, you haven't.
I'd have to look at my Untapped.
No.
Well, of course, I said that about watermelon until Dave said he had a really good one.
I did have one. My life's goal has been to find a good watermelon beer, and I found one.
But watermelon has 0 flavor, so you had watermelon gum beer. Or watermelon candy beer.
It scratched that itch, man.
It's like honeydew or honeydew.
It was watermelon.
Oh, Adam from Analog's on here. Nice. We're not even drinking analog beer, so thank you, Adam. Next time we make our jalapeno Hefeweizen. I'm sending
all right. Okay. Challenge accepted.
Adam, we will do it. You can contact me, fermentednerds@gmail.com, or send it down to Westminster Liquor and I'll pick it up there. Or Andrew Hilton or wherever.
Jalapeno Hefe. Yeah, I'd take it down. I'd try it because, like I said, I've yet to have one that really twinged. That one we had in Vancouver was just hated.
Yeah, and I had one with Wally too. Like the spice beer, it's like you kind of want it to hit, but they're hard. So I'd be interested to see what that one does.
Yeah, Hef might
If somebody,
be the
if
best.
somebody nails it, they're gonna make.
They're gonna make it.
happen, right?
You know, I was gonna say Hef might be the way to go because it's nice and light. You know, kind of weedy, summery.
It's
Yeah.
choice.
So yeah, but jalapeno and Hef. Bananas and jalapenos. Delicious.
Together at last.
And so many.
I still haven't had a really, really delicious spicy beer. Zero Issue made one.
Oh yes.
They did their IO, habanero pineapple.
Yeah.
It was okay.
There was more pineapple than habanero.
Yeah.
It was just kind of on the end.
So it was spicy, but it like lingered. It built. It was just like I had pepper, and then the pepper grinds just kept. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the flakes just kept building and building and building.
Right, because you handed me a glass of that when I was on your stoop that one day, and that was pretty good. Yeah, which is not like I said. It's probably the closest I've come to really liking a spicy beer because I like spicy stuff, spicy food. So I'm interested if somebody really, really can kill it. I'm all about it. You know.
So why doesn't somebody do like? Maybe I just haven't had a good spicy chocolate stout or porter or something, you know?
Well, so that like sometimes you can get. I definitely have had like a Mexican chocolate, which has got the chili and the chocolate in there. It's not bad, but yeah, like
because I like spicy food. I really like spicy food. I like Indian a lot. I like Mexican and stuff, right? So, I mean, I put hot sauce on everything, but yeah, I it's the body. I'm sure it's the body of the beer because like a habanero pineapple like IPA was just like, it was just
what?
It was fine. Like I said, it was the best version I've probably. It was definitely the best spicy beer I've ever had because I've had ballast points.
Yes, because we've had that chili porter, which tasted like a bowl of chili, and also
Alley Cat one that was
the best fattest cat. Like,
because was it the Alley Cat one I poured down your sink? Was that the one?
That's the one. Because I have that same one, and I've checked both of you in, and I rated it very poorly.
It didn't taste like spice. It tasted like a bowl of chili.
Yeah,
and because of that,
I'm gonna say horse blanket.
Texturally, it felt like I was drinking chili.
Yeah.
The mouthfeel I couldn't do it anymore.
Which is funny because I have put stout in my chili before, and it's good. Yeah. But that was like the worst part of chili and stout put together. It's like all the bad stuff and none of the good stuff.
Beer's good in things. Not everything's good in beer, right?
Right. Yeah. A equals B. B does not necessarily equal A.
You're up a chicken.
There is an X factor
in your beer. So what's like the weirdest beer? I know you guys have a game in like 7 minutes, so we'll end it pretty quick here. What's the game tonight? Germany and
Slovakia.
Yeah, with the whole German team back.
With the whole -2, still 2 out.
Okay,
but they're better.
They left 3 of their top 4 guys back in Germany too.
They had to. 3 of them tested positive. They're starting goalie and 2 top forwards. All first-round picks too. Unfortunately,
were they the only team hit by COVID then?
No.
What's that?
No, they were just the worst. They were
they just got nailed hard.
They got nailed hard.
So
Adam,
it's unfortunate.
Yes, clown shoes I have had.
Mexican hot chocolate, imperial hot pepper chocolate. That's a lot of adjectives.
You can. The only place I know in town that you can get clown shoes is Wine Cavern has it.
Yes.
I mean, they're probably
will be in the back all dusty and gross.
All dusty. I mean, they're probably clown shoes from a couple of years ago, but yeah, I've had some of their beers.
2009 probably
from them before. Yeah.
Okay, I had clown shoes.
That clown shoes is actually a really good brewery. Like I've had a lot of beers from them that I really, really enjoy.
I definitely haven't checked in too much because that may have been in a down time for me.
Where they? Do you know where they're from or no?
I'm looking right now.
America?
Yeah. Okay.
Boston.
Boston.
Huh?
So I've had their space cake.
We've had a few for sure.
I've had their space cake double IPA.
I know I've had their undead. I didn't check it in, but I've had their Imperial double, their undead party crasher.
I've had their mango Kolsch. I've had their pecan pie porter. And that looks like it.
Yeah, I've definitely had that one too. I didn't check it in, but I've definitely.
See, Rod's had it. Being an American fella. Clown shoes, pretty much all they sell. Good. Yeah, so from Boston, Mass.
Okay.
Interesting because we have, much to, I'm sure, Adam's detriment here, the world's like the most open beer market. So we get beer from everywhere all the time, which local breweries don't and probably shouldn't like.
So maybe then what we should do for our next show is we should do a weird beer review. We should go try and find some. We should go to Wine Cavern, blow the dust off of some of their old bombers, and try and find something fun.
Man.
Well, that's up to you.
I'm
not here to support him, so.
We should go to Calgary and go to like
Safeway's wine section.
Safeway. Just get wine.
We're gonna do that.
We'll just do gin.
Non-alcoholic beers for we'll do like the O'Douls,
Yeah.
the amber, and the lager.
So I'm really interested because there are like two like non-alcoholic craft. There's Partake Brewery, which you hear about, and then there's another one. And I'd be willing to try. Like, I'm not drinking beer to get drunk. I'm drinking beer because it's good. Would non-alcoholic beer be good though?
Non-alcoholic beer is really good. It depends what you want it for.
Yeah,
Might lose something in the process.
yeah. That's what I'm wondering. Like the fermentation's gone, right?
Right. Well, you're not there. You're not there for the taste and the ambience, right? You're there for you're having a beer, but you're not having a beer.
Adams
So
welcomes the competition. Wait today, when all Canadian market is free and fair as ours. That's interesting.
Good answer, Adam. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's good for a guy like Adam who owns Analog Brewing is one of the owners, I think, of Analog Brewing in Edmonton. Awesome place. We've had tons from them. He's been on all our reviews so far. So
someday we'll be able to come up there. We'll do like a Fermented Turds World Tour, Alberta tour.
There's Alberta tour. Because he's right near a whole bunch of breweries too. So it'd be an awesome time. Head down to. We'll definitely hit up Analog. I'll bring the camera.
It'd be fun to do a live on scene.
Yeah,
we can actually be in the same place at the same time again.
It'd be so great. Yeah, we're a bit away, I'm sure, but maybe in the fall or something. Hopefully we can leave our town. Alberta. For those who are watching this, Alberta's like super locked down right now. I know not a lot of places are, but we're really locked down right now. But hopefully soon numbers are improving. Colton asking if we've ever tried gluten-free beer. I've had Mongozo.
I've had a few.
Yeah. I've had a few. Didn't you have one by accident? You're like, man, this beer's fantastic.
No, I've had a few, but I bought it. Actually, I bought like a sampler case.
Yeah.
So 12 beers and whatever. There's like 4 different kinds, but they're all gluten free. I had no idea. And I drank them like they're fine. Like if you didn't know, you wouldn't know.
We've all had them in Kelowna.
They don't change the taste at all. So
the blood potato beer we had from
Cranog.
Oh, is that gluten free too?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, because there's no wheat in it, so yeah. Like
so you never know. If somebody didn't tell you, you wouldn't know.
Oh god, no. It depends. Because there's some that are rice based that are actually pretty good. Yeah, that you're like, that's.
Now you're more in sake territory.
I've had lots of gluten-free beer like Kokanee and Molson Canadian.
Right.
Everything else was rice and corn. Yeah.
No, but there's definitely good gluten-free beers out there.
Yeah.
No worries. If you're gluten-free, you can still have good craft beer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I assume some styles are harder to make, but I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know about it.
You still have options.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So we'll let you boys get off too.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. That was a fun night.
Yeah, thanks.
Everybody who's on here watching this later on YouTube, definitely check in the 29th, if it's before us, at 6 p.m. Fermented Wives episode, their first episode. So in all these going to be our wives.
I'm going to troll them all night long.
They're going to get 500 viewers. Just like, it'll be our biggest show ever, and they can just have the channel.
Yeah, just retire.
They're doing a sweet and sour theme, which should be interesting. I'm watching, and I'm going to let them know I'm watching, so don't say anything bad about us. So tune in for that at 6 o'clock. You can find the links on all our social medias at Fermented Nerds. that it, boys? Are we going to do this again?
That's it. Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah, we'll do this in New Year's again. We'll figure out a date. We'll let you guys know because it's always fun. Who's picking the beer next time? Kyle?
Yeah, let me do it.
All right, we're good.
All right, boys. With all that
Okay,
said,
love you, boys.
love you too.
Yep.
Take care.
Cheers, man.
Stay
Peace
safe.
out, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.